Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we are tackling a topic I think we can all relate to. It's this whole idea of the fountain of youth, staying youthful.
Mm.
And you guys sent in some fascinating research for this one. We've got a YouTube video all about staying youthful and feeling our best. And, I have to say, one of the things that really struck me was how much of it starts with our mindset. This idea that the fountain of youth might actually be, in part, in our minds.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept, isn't it? And the video really emphasizes that mind-body connection. And there's actually science that backs this up. The way we think and feel about aging can really influence not just our mental health, but our physical health as well, and how we experience this whole aging process.
Totally. And it reminds me of that article that you shared a while back about the benefits of meditation.
Hmm.
And this video touches on some similar themes, especially when it comes to stress. What I found really fascinating was how they connected stress to aging.
Yeah, and dive into this whole idea that chronic stress can actually increase our biological age.
Really?
Yeah, so when we're stressed out, our bodies pump out cortisol.
Yeah.
And, in small doses, cortisol is not a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
But when we've got this constant flood of cortisol coursing through our systems because we are stressed out all the time, it can damage our cells and it leads to inflammation.
Yeah.
And inflammation is like public enemy #1 when it comes to aging.
Okay, so less stress equals more youthfulness. I am on board with that. But let's be real for a second. Like, avoiding stress entirely in this day and age, it feels kind of impossible.
Yeah.
So the video brought up this idea of a social media detox as one way to kind of manage stress levels. They even highlighted this one person who decided to completely ditch Facebook just to kind of boost their mental fitness. What do you think about this whole social media and well-being connection?
Well, it's definitely a hot topic for a reason, right? And I think it's important to acknowledge that social media can have its benefits, but um, but there's also the comparison game, the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out, even just that blue light from our phones disrupting our sleep. All of that can take a toll.
No, 100%.
And you were talking earlier about wanting more energy to do the things that you love.
Hmm.
I think reducing your social media time could be a big step in the right direction.
You basically just gave everyone listening permission to silence those notifications. I'm here for it. And speaking of energy, this next statistic from the video absolutely floored me. Apparently, men who get enough sleep might live 5 years longer. 5 years. And for women, 2 years. I mean, we talk about sleep all the time.
Right.
But those numbers are definitely a wake-up call.
No, you're absolutely right. Those numbers just really highlight how crucial sleep is, not just for our well-being in general, but for our longevity. And it's not just about feeling well-rested, although that's nice too. It's about giving our bodies that time to repair and rejuvenate. When we sleep, our cells go into overdrive. They're repairing damage. They're balancing hormones, consolidating memories. All those things, they're so essential for healthy aging.
So it's like our bodies go into this super powered repair mode while we sleep. I'm starting to see how all of these pieces fit together. Our mindset, stress levels, even our social media habits all connect back to our overall well-being and ultimately how we age.
It's like hitting the reset button each night, right? Giving our bodies a chance to really recharge and repair.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of recharging, the video also dives into diet, which, plays a huge role in how we age.
Okay, me and food, always down to explore that. I have to admit, though, some of the stuff they talk about, I was craving a burger and a green smoothie at the same time.
Right.
Where do you think that balance is? Obviously, we want to enjoy what we eat, but we also want to make choices that are going to make us feel good, right?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's all about finding that balance. And the video really highlights those whole foods, those colorful veggies, the lean proteins, healthy fats. We're talking, avocados, nuts, olive oil, all that good stuff. They act like, these little superheroes for our cells, fighting off damage and inflammation.
So it's really about loading up on the good stuff, but I think there's always that question of what about when we want to indulge, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I can't survive on kale smoothies alone.
Oh, absolutely. And the point isn't to completely deprive ourselves. It's about being mindful.
Right.
The video touches on how those processed foods, especially the ones that are loaded with sugar, the unhealthy fats, all those artificial ingredients, that's the stuff that can actually speed up the aging process.
Oh, wow. So they're working against us, those processed foods. So maybe instead of reaching for that bag of chips, maybe grab a handful of nuts or some fruit.
There you go. Small changes, big impact over time.
I like it.
And speaking of impactful changes, the video also explores this whole world of fasting,
Oh, yes.
which I know you've been curious about.
I have been. I mean, remember that article I sent you a while back
Yeah.
about intermittent fasting? Well, this video took it a step further, and they were suggesting that fasting could potentially reverse aging. Reverse it.
It's pretty amazing, right?
Is that even possible?
Well, more research is always being done, but there's definitely a growing body of evidence suggesting that fasting, when done safely and correctly, can have some pretty remarkable benefits for not just our health, but for longevity as well.
Wow.
And, they specifically mentioned this process called autophagy. It's like our body's built-in cleaning crew.
Okay, tell me more about this cleaning crew because I am intrigued.
So imagine your cells are like these little factories, right?
Mhm.
And they're constantly working, they're producing waste products.
Right.
When we fast, it's like we're giving those factories a break to clean up, to repair any damage.
Okay.
So autophagy, it helps clear out those old damaged cells,
Mm-hmm.
makes way for new healthy ones.
It's like hitting the refresh button.
Exactly.
I love it. So I imagine there are different ways to approach fasting though, right? It's not like one size fits all.
You're right. There are a variety of methods out there. The
Okay.
video touches on a few, like intermittent fasting. You're basically cycling between periods of eating and not eating. And one that's really popular is that 168 method. You fast for 16 hours. You have an 8-hour eating window. But the important thing is to find what feels good for you, what you can stick with.
It's about finding that sustainability, right?
Exactly.
Just like with the diet stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
And, speaking of things that can make us feel really good, the video also highlighted exercise and particularly resistance training, for maintaining that youthful physique and mindset.
So important.
I am a big fan of going for hikes. So I was like, yes, movement.
Well, you're already ahead of the curve there.
Right.
But you're right. They emphasize in the video that exercise, especially strength training, it really is like a magic potion
Yes.
for feeling young, for feeling vibrant.
Right. It really is like magic. That feeling you get, after a good workout.
Yeah.
That energy boost, you feel strong, you feel resilient. It's like, yeah, turn back the clock.
Exactly. And the science really supports it too. And, remember how the video talked about how muscle loss is it's one of those key signs of aging?
Yeah.
Well, resistance training helps us fight back against that.
Right.
Because it helps us build and maintain that muscle mass. And having that muscle mass, it's not just about looking good, right? It's about staying strong and mobile and feeling good, feeling youthful as we get older.
So, get those weights. Get in the gym. It makes those sessions seem way more appealing, right?
But for those of us who aren't, hitting the gym every day, are there things we can do? I don't know, like simpler things to get that movement in.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, is that it really doesn't take a lot to make a difference. I mean, even in the video, they were talking about walking, gardening, dancing. I mean, things that a lot of us already do and enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Those can have a really big impact on our health and how we age. I mean, even something as simple as taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
Yeah.
It all adds up. It all contributes to a more, youthful, energetic you.
Yeah, I love that. It's like sneaking in those little bits of movement wherever we can. Yeah, what's amazing to me is how this video really tied everything together.
Right.
We started out talking about the power of our mindset,
Right.
how stress can impact how we age. Then we got into sleep
Mm-hmm.
and diet, social media, and now we're talking about movement. It's like this whole body approach to feeling, feeling young, feeling vibrant. It really highlights that mind-body connection, doesn't it? I mean, it's not about finding that one magic solution. It's really about these small choices that we're making that support our health and our happiness.
And I think that's what I really love about these deep dives is that we get to explore these different aspects of well-being and see how they all connect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about finding what works for you and kind of incorporating those things into your life. And I think at the end of the day, embracing aging. I mean, it's a natural part of life.
Yeah,
It's not something to be afraid of.
I love that. So, well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the Fountain of Youth, I'm curious what really resonated with you. What's one small change that you might try this week to support your well-being? Maybe it's ditching social media for an hour a day. Maybe it's giving that 168 fasting method a shot. Or maybe it's just taking a walk in nature. Every little bit counts, right?
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to change everything overnight. It's those small, sustainable changes that make all the difference.
Love it. And on that note, here's a final thought for you to ponder. If you could bottle up the energy and the vitality of youth, what would you do with it? Let that question guide you this week as you go about your day. And hopefully it inspires you to prioritize your own well-being. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.